Hey, bus bench babes, have you ever thought about owning a cabin or a vacation property, but then your next immediate thought is, I don't even financially know how to make that happen? Well, we're going to talk about it today, and let's dive in.
You're listening to the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast, where we invite you to check your ego at the app, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to dive into all things real estate marketing, social media, friendship, hardship, love, money mindset, and all the things that celebrate you as a badass boss babe.
We're here to encourage you, show up for you, give you a loving kick in the pants when you need it most, and be your soft place to land on the hardest of days. So pull up a seat at our table and get ready to be inspired and start living your best life by design.
Welcome to the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast. We are so excited you're here.
Okay, girls, let's dive in. Hey, bus bench babes, it's Beth here doing a solo episode, and this coming weekend is Memorial Weekend, and in Minnesota, you know what that means. It is cabin extravaganza. If you have a cabin, or a friend has a cabin, or your grandma has a cabin, there's probably a good chance that you're heading there this weekend, and it really feels like the kickoff of summer here in Minnesota, especially. I can't really speak for the rest of the country in terms of Memorial Weekend, but here in Minnesota, it is really that coveted opening of the cabin and getting the boat in the water and really just kicking off summer season at the lake. And if you're anything like me, you've been to friends' cabins. Like, I personally don't own a cabin, and no one in my family, my immediate family, owns a cabin. But when I go to other people's cabins, I'm like, oh man, this would be so awesome to have a cabin on a great lake. And I just start racking my brain about, like, how could I make this happen? And would I use it enough? And would it make sense? So you kind of hear the good and the bad. Some people that have cabins say they're a lot of work. And you get up to the cabin and you have to do all the work that you have to do at your regular home. You have to mow the lawn. You have to trim the trees. In the winter, you might have to have somebody snowplow and shovel for you. You have to weed and take care of the landscaping and home maintenance and painting and, all those things. And some people love the idea of it, and other people are like, yeah, I have a hard enough time keeping up with my current home in the cities, let alone a cabin up north. Our summer season in Minnesota is so dang short, and I really feel like most Minnesotans really take advantage of everything that the nice weather has to offer and really spend time in the great outdoors, at cabins, on lakes, on patios, doing happy hours. And if you can be up north doing all of the above, how fun would that be? So a lot of people think, cabins back in the day were dirt cheap. Like when I was growing up, someone would buy a cabin and it'd be like $20,000, and it would be on a really nice lake and good water quality and good for fishing, and you could do water sports. Well, that just isn't how things are anymore. Nowadays, cabins on really nice lakes that are year-round cabins with good fishing and good water sports. Now we're talking $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 and more. So a lot of people, that's just not even in their budget when they're thinking about having a second home. Or maybe your grandparents have a family cabin and they've asked if any of the grandkids or kids want to buy the house or buy the lake home. And you're like, well, would I actually be able to swing this and pay for this, plus pay my mortgage on my year-round house in the cities? Guess what? There's some options. Chances are you're not going to be using that cabin all day, every day, all year round. Have you ever thought about having a cabin and having it also be a rental property? So it's enjoyment for you and your family, and really an awesome place to build memories and, create that lake lifestyle and have your friends at the lakes, up at the lake. But then also when you're not using your cabin, have it be a vacation property. Has that ever occurred to you? Especially in the winter, there's a lot of times in certain parts of northern Minnesota where people love to go and they love to snowmobile, they love to ice fish. There might be really great winter activities or skiing or anything that would have like a winter draw where you could be renting your cabin year round. And how many people use their cabin in the winter? Not a whole lot. What if you have a place that is near great hunting land? And so your cabin might get used in the fall a lot more than you would use it. There's a lot of great ways to like think outside the box when it comes to having a vacation property, having a cabin on a lake. Have you ever been on vacation in Florida and you're renting a vacation home, an Airbnb or a VRBO, and you're like, oh my gosh, what if I had a place like this and I could just come down here and have time with my family? I could just come down here for a couple's getaway or a girls' weekend. Guess what? There are ways to do this. A great way to come up with a down payment, because that's usually the first thing that people ask me is they're like, okay, where would I come up with a down payment if this is something that I was actually considering? Guess what? You probably have a lot of equity in your current home. That's where a lot of people get the down payment money, is taking out a line of credit on their current home, and then using that as a down payment for a vacation rental or for a cabin. So obviously you'd have to get qualified for both mortgages on your current home and on a cabin. But there's so many people that have so much untapped equity in their current homes that they're not using it's just sitting there. It's literally sitting there doing nothing. So what if you could put your equity to work for you? You know, we've seen double-digit appreciation on homes all over the country for the last 3 or 4 years. And we've seen that on cabins and vacation rentals too. Cabins, I mean, everybody's always loved cabins in Minnesota, but think about what happened in 2020. We're on absolute lockdown. A lot of people are scared to get on an airplane and fly across the country. But guess what? People were renting cabins like crazy. I have some friends that they rented a cabin probably an hour from their current home. The husband could still drive to work every day. The wife worked from home. They had their kids out at the lake. They were able to bring their dog out there. They had a boat service, bring a boat to the house that they were renting so they could be boating. So they were there for 2 weeks. The first week they had a pontoon, and then the second week they got a speedboat. And their kids were able to have friends out there, you know, so they could keep their bubbles small, but they were able to enjoy lake life. And they loved it so much that we ended up finding them a lake home this last summer. So 2020, they rented the cabin. And then in 2021, they ended up buying their own lake home at the end of the season last year. They've been getting it remodeled all winter. And so then now this year, they're going to have their own lake home that they can enjoy, have friends out, barbecue, boat, and live lake life anytime they want. I think that's so cool. But yeah, a lot of people have untapped equity sitting in their homes. And why not put it to work for you? And if you could be using a vacation rental or a cabin and use it and set it up where you have your weeks blocked off that you want to use it anytime throughout the year, and then rent it out those other weeks when you're not using it. And it might not be cash flowing you money, but it might considerably be offsetting your payment that you have on that property. If you could do something like that, is that something that you would consider? I had some other clients that live in the Twin Cities, and during the pandemic, they said, we've always wanted a cabin. And they're like, now's the time. We can work from anywhere. And as long as we have a place, they wanted a lake. Their requirements were they wanted to be able to have good internet so they could work from the cabin or the lake home. They wanted it to be big enough so they could have friends and family up, and they wanted it year round so they could be there in the winter. And their other requirement, they wanted a good fishing lake. So they didn't necessarily want a swimming lake. They wanted a fishing lake, and they wanted a swimming pool. And I'm like, yeah, we're in Minnesota and this is up north. There is not that many cabin lake homes that have swimming pools. But guess what? We found one. And it's perfect. And it has a heated swimming pool. And so they can fish in the lake, and then they can swim in their heated swimming pool and not have to deal with seaweed and, you know, lake stuff and fish touching your legs. So it literally was the best of both worlds. And they're up there all the time because they're able to work from the lake. So And it had little cottages on the property. So they've never rented them out, but that's the type of property where they certainly could rent out cottages, and they could be making extra money on this property because they have 2 extra little cottages. So there's so many different ways that you can get creative and check off these bucket list things of owning a cabin or owning a vacation rental, and use them and enjoy it to the fullest. But then when you're not using it, have it also make money for you. So your property is making money for you while you're sleeping. Another thing that is a possibility that a lot of people don't know about is that you can buy a cabin in Minnesota and have fractional ownership is what it's called. So for instance, you buy into a resort. There's resorts like this all over Minnesota that are usually on really nice lakes, and they have X amount of cottages. Let's just say there's 20 cottages on the property. They're usually really nice houses that are decorated currently to current decor trends. Really nice furniture, really luxurious, fully stocked kitchen. There's usually a clubhouse of some sort that maybe has a little canteen in it where you can get some supplies. There's usually fishing, nice lake area where you can swim. Some of them have swimming pools, and you own a fraction of a cabin. So say you buy into a cabin, let's say cabin number 4, and there'll be 12 owners, usually 10 to 12, and it's divided up. So everybody would have a month of usage of the property. And if you use it, great, you can use it for yourself. And if you decide not to, then you can rent it out to someone else. And so that's a really cool way to be able to buy into a property. And so you have ownership. You have somebody else maintain everything for you. And so when you come to the cabin every weekend that you're assigned, or every week that you're assigned, you don't have to clean. You don't have to do anything. All you do is bring your groceries with you, but all the bedding's there, linen's there, fresh toilet paper, just like going to a hotel, that everything is clean, tidy, ready to go for you to just use. You don't have to mow the lawn. You don't have to take care of any of the outside maintenance. All of that is handled for you. And that is a no-brainer turnkey thing that a lot of people find really helpful. I have a friend that owns one up north. It's a drive. It's probably a 3.5-hour drive, but in the winter it's close to a ski place. And then in the summer it's on a beautiful lake, and it has a pool and all the amenities. And then it's also by really fabulous golf courses. And the town that it's nearby has great food. There's like a Jamaican place up north, or like a Caribbean type place up north. Who would have thought that a guy from the Caribbean found his way to northern Minnesota? But he did, and he's a fabulous chef. There's pizza up there that will blow your mind. It's so delicious. And so this friend of mine, he's making money when he's not using his cabin, and then he gets to use it when his weeks that are determined. So he uses it literally all year round, but it really is not a whole lot of out of pocket for him because he's renting it very regularly when he's not using it. So there's a whole bunch of options out there. You're thinking about buying a place in a warmer climate, Arizona, Florida. I've got fabulous real estate contacts all over the country that can help get you into a vacation rental and walk you through the steps of getting it put on Airbnb or a VRBO property, or both, all of the above. And you can be making money and then using the property when you want. So if this is something that you've thought about and you're going to be up north this weekend, take a look around, grab one of your, get your apps out there, your home searching apps, and, look around and see what there are for properties. I can put you in touch with real estate agents up north that really specialize in specific areas and let you know, if you want to see properties this weekend, let me know. I can put you in touch with some awesome real estate agents. So if that's something you've been thinking about, reach out. I would love to have a conversation with you, help you explore some options about what that could look like, how you can make some money and actually enjoy lake life at the same time. So have a safe weekend up north. And until next time, keep your face off a bus bench and keep being the badass boss babes that you are.
Okay, girls, are you feeling as inspired as we are? We're over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast.
If you want more, head over to girlgetyourfaceoffabusbench.com for show notes and more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. They mean the world to us, and they're what keep us going.
Girl, thanks for being here.